New M1 Macs released late 2020 really established a new league of ARM-based processors. And with their power efficiency and performance, they heavily crushed their competitors. Apple is really killing it. But what about their most compact iteration of the MacBook, the 12-inch one? Well, hello there. I am Marcel, the Palatine Tech Pal, and today we're gonna talk about whether you should get one of these bad boys in 2021. Now, first of all, what I'd like to start with is what you notice right away. When you see the laptop for the first time, the first thing you notice is the design and the build quality. And when you feel it in your hand, you can immediately tell that it is high quality. It's very dense. It's very actually quite hefty for the size. And that is what people expect from Apple by now. This is really a good example for Apple's quality. I have a space gray model here with a black camo skin on top, which is from D brand. You might have heard of them, and no, they are not a sponsor yet. Okay, so just the first impression, design, build quality. So next up, I/O. This is what made a lot of people not like the 12-inch MacBooks. Considering this was first released in 2015, it really shows how much this device was ahead of its time. In this particular model, we have one USB 3.1 Gen 1 Type-C port for data transfer, charging and video out, as well as one headphone jack. That's it. But you know what? I don't hate it for the limited I/O actually. I prefer wireless peripherals anyway, and since it's got Bluetooth, that is one easy solution to go for. Otherwise, you'll have to use dongles. Oh yeah, and it's got stereo microphones on that side too. Alright, opening up the device, there's one thing that might not be that important to most of you, but I really love the hinge mechanism. As far as I know, all MacBooks can be opened one-handedly, without the base coming up when you lift the top, which is impressive considering this unit only weighs 0.92 kilograms. This is one of the lightest laptops I have ever used. So you can see this is a very, very portable laptop, and I think that is one of its main advantages. The next thing you notice when you open up the lid are the screen up top, the speakers, trackpad and keyboard down below. The latter is still controversial because it uses the infamous butterfly switches that Apple got a lot of hate for. It's known for its weakness against dirt getting stuck under the keys, followed up by unintended key presses or even complete malfunction of the single keys. In this 2017 model, we have second-gen butterfly switches, so those are a bit less prone to breaking and a bit easier to clean. However, the keys still are very shallow. There's literally no trouble at all, but they feel quite tactile and clicky enough to provide you with some haptic feedback. And thank God this one has actual function keys, none of that touch bar nonsense. Speaking of haptic feedback, Apple's Force Touch trackpad on this device is, in my opinion, the industry standard. It's precise, responsive, no moving parts whatsoever, but still it feels like you're actually clicking it. If you've ever used a more recent MacBook, you'll know what I'm talking about. And if you haven't already, I really recommend trying it for yourself if you ever will have the chance. I think the speakers sound great for a device this small. They offer a well-balanced sound that is not as tinny as most other laptop speakers are, but they are not able to deliver as much low end as others just due to their physical size. They get plenty loud though, without any distortion. The screen is, as the name suggests, a 12-inch Retina display based on the IPS technology with a resolution of 2304 by 1440 pixels, which gives it an aspect ratio of 16 by 10, which in my opinion is superior to a classic 16 by 9 for office use cases due to more vertical space. This results in a pixel density of 226 ppi, so very sharp. Now, usually macOS runs in a lower resolution that is upscaled to the Retina display, but with apps like EasyRes, you can run the native resolution. Still, I wish Apple would have gone for some smaller bezels. They are thick, especially on a device that small. I also do not like that the screen is glossy, because when you've got lights behind you, they reflect off of the screen, and then you will have a hard time to see what's actually on the monitor. Also, the soft seam around the screen tends to collect dust over time, but it's not a deal breaker. Okay, so spec-wise, this laptop is not the most powerful, but it will suffice for what people are using it for. In this case, we have a dual-core Intel M3 processor with a base clock of 1.2 GHz and a boost clock of up to 3 GHz. Integrated graphics, that is the Intel HD Graphics 615, 8 gigs of low-power DDR3 RAM running at 1866 MHz, and a 256 gig PCI Express SSD. All of that is soldered onto the logic board, so user upgrades after the purchase are not possible, which also makes it very hard to repair if there are any hardware issues. As mentioned before, there is Bluetooth connectivity, Wi-Fi AC, so no AX support, but that came out 3 years later, so it's not a deal breaker. Now, what really stands out with this device is that it lacks any fans. It handles heat dissipation just like the new M1 MacBook Air passively. This is really considered a big disadvantage when you think about heavy tasks like video editing or compiling complex code, since the processor will throttle really quickly. Other than that, it makes the device operate in silence, which is really a big advantage for quiet areas like libraries or offices. So, but what is this laptop actually capable of doing, and is it any worth in 2021? To keep it short, it really depends on what you need. If your goal is to play graphically intense 3D games, 3D modeling or animation, heavy video editing, or compiling complex codes, then this device is not for you. But if you are someone that is mainly using office applications, is browsing the web, mailing, messaging, consuming media, then this might be interesting for you. I am a university student, and unless there is a pandemic that keeps me inside my apartment, I actually like to take my devices with me to be able to work on the go. Now, this is not my editing machine. I actually have a much more powerful laptop for that. But the 12-inch MacBook, I personally use it mainly for university tasks like research on the internet, reading journals, word processing, Excel work, stuff like that. What else? Video conferencing, listening to music on Spotify. With a mix of these tasks, I usually get around 6 to 7 hours of battery life. But I have to mention that my particular device is telling me that it's at around 91% of battery health. So it means it only can charge up to 91% of its maximum battery capacity. So all in all, I guess battery life is still pretty good, which you are expecting from Apple devices today, except, well, the iPhone 12 mini, I guess. Apple originally claimed about 10 hours of web browsing and 75% brightness, but in real life, you will typically get less than that. As I mentioned, due to its sharp screen and good sounding speakers, I think this is a very capable media consumption machine. Although the screen size resembles rather something like an iPad Pro, which I prefer for media consumption because it's just much more convenient. And a plus with the Apple ecosystem is that I can use my MacBook and iPad in parallel with a feature called Sidecar that lets me use my iPad as a wireless secondary monitor for macOS. And what I like to do when I'm at home and use my MacBook at home, I like to put it on a laptop stand and hook it up to an external monitor, and then use it along with my Keychron external keyboard and an Apple Magic Trackpad 2 for added comfort. So I can say this is a very sophisticated and still very elegant piece of tech that has not yet lost its worth in 2021. But what does it cost today? Now, when Apple originally launched the MacBook 27 here in Germany, for my model, they wanted 1499 euros, that is after taxes. And that was about 3.5 years ago. Apple has discontinued the 12-inch MacBook in 2019 and is not selling any new units on their website. So you usually have to get it used. And as far as I'm concerned, I could not find any refurbished models anymore. At the time of making this video, the going rate on sites like eBay for a model like mine in good condition is at around 700 euros. I actually got very lucky with mine. I got it on eBay for around 570 euros in quite a good state with no nicks or scratches, a perfect screen and a only slightly shiny keyboard. So if you're thinking about getting one, please make sure that you read the description and check the state of the device before pulling the trigger on one. Alright, I hope I could give you a better understanding of what the 12-inch MacBook can do and whom it is for. Why don't you let me know if you have a 12-inch MacBook or had one and what your experiences with it are. And if you were planning to get one anyway, I hope I could give you a better perspective on it. Now, if you liked the video, consider subscribing to my channel and maybe give a thumbs up, since I really want to continue this channel and make good quality videos for you. I am Marcel, the Palatine Tech Pal. Until next time, have a good one.